Find the derivative of y equals the square root of x times f of x, then evaluate y prime of 9, where f of 9 is a negative 2, and f prime of 9 is a 6. Y here is the product of two functions, one which is known, the square root of x, and one which is unknown, f of x. I'm going to want to rewrite that square root as a fractional exponent before I do anything else. That is x to the first power and second root, so x to the 1/2, times f of x, to help with the derivative. Since we have a product here, the derivative will involve the product rule. So the derivative y prime, which can also be called dy dx, will be the derivative of the first, power rule. Bring the power down, subtract 1 from it, I will call that 2/2. Derivative of the first times the second left alone plus the first left alone, x to the 1/2, times the derivative of the second, I will call that f prime of x. Let's simplify this result a little bit before we plug anything into it. So y prime, or dy dx, will equal to 1/2 x raised to the 1 minus 2, which is negative 1 over 2, f of x, plus x to the 1/2, which is x to the first power second root, square root of x, and then f prime of x. That first term has a negative exponent, so I'm going to move that to the denominator. It'll move down with that 2 in the denominator. The f of x will stay in the numerator. It's not raised to a negative exponent. The numerator will be a 1 from the 1/2 times f of x, so it'll be f of x over 2x to the positive 1/2 plus square root of x times f prime of x. And then we can take one more step where we can rename the x to the 1/2 in the denominator as first power second root square root of x. And then rewrite our second term exactly as we see it. So there it is simplified. Now we can evaluate y prime of 9. Y prime of 9 means to plug in 9 in for each of the x's, so we will have f of 9 over 2 square root of 9 plus the square root of 9 times f prime of 9. Now f of 9 and f prime of 9 will be found over here. F of 9 is a negative 2 over 2 times the square root of 9, which is a 3, plus the square root of 9, which is a 3, and then f prime of 9, which is a 6. So we have a negative 2 over 2 times 3, which is 6, plus a 3 times 6, which is 18. We can reduce this to a negative 1 over 3. And then that 18 we're going to want to have a common denominator, so we will multiply by 3 over 3. And this will give us negative 1 over 3 plus 3 times 18, which is 54 over 3. And now we can combine those into a single fraction over that common denominator, negative 1 plus 54, which is 53 over 3.